अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to another episode of Hafta. We are recording this in the midst of a very hectic and frenzied election campaign. It is 11:38 a.m. on Thursday, the 2nd of May. Tomorrow is the 3rd of May, which is Press Freedom Day. And we have a special scheme. The News Minute and News Laundry present to you the Press Freedom Week scheme, where you can buy one subscription and get one for free. So that means you can give it to a friend, a relative who might need to understand the value of press freedom. So if you buy one subscription, you can give the email and the name of one person you want to gift it to. They'll automatically get one. The link is in the show notes below. It's also on the website of the News Laundry and the News Minute. So do check it out. And those of you who would like to buy a subscription, this is a good time to buy it because you get one for free. And I would suggest you give it to someone who actually doesn't appreciate the value of press freedom. That would be a better gift than someone who already does, because they probably already subscribe to some news media outlet or the other, which is not ad funded. And like you have observed, the News Minute has also taken off ads. We have never had ads because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers served. So happy Press Freedom Day, everybody. All you wonderful journalists and all that.
Press Freedom Day.
Press Freedom.
Oh. I don't know why we are so happy though.
So I don't know why we are so happy. Always trust Manisha to just pull down the room to cynicism and depression. But we have a full 1.5 hours for that, and I'm sure Manisha will do her best. But let me introduce the panel to you first. In the studio, Anand, Vardhan, our Chief Justice in training. Manisha, Pande.
Hi.
The cynic. Raman, Kirpal.
Moving up from lawyer who's fighting for News Laundry to now Chief Justice.
Yeah. By the time we finish, he'll be the head of the International Court of Justice. That's my plan. And joining us online is the wonderful. Well, she's not the Maharashtra correspondent, but she's in Maharashtra right now. Tanishka.
But she's from Bombay.
But she's from Mumbai. Mumbai. Hi, Tanishka.
Hi, how are you all?
Very well. We can't wait to hear what's happening in Maharashtra from you. And also joining us is Anisha Sheth. How do you pronounce that? Sheth or Sheth?
Sheth.
Hi, Anisha. And where are you joining us from? Where are you right now?
I'm in Bangalore.
I see. And are you also going to be traveling all over the place? Or have already traveled all over the place?
No, not yet. I mean, not right now. Yesterday, my colleague and I were in Hassan. And we just got back last night.
All right. So, Anisha is Associate Editor at the News Minute. She's a journalist and an educator. She's taught at the Asian College of Journalism and has worked with organizations including the Hindu and New Indian Express and Reuters. So, welcome, Anisha, Tanishka. You will tell us what was happening on the ground. Even actually, you were on the road
Karnataka
for a bit.
And Kerala, and now I'm back.
And now you're going to be heading
again
to UP, wherever.
Yeah.
So, right. So, before we continue with the discussion, let's get the headlines of the week.
The Karnataka police has booked JDS MP Prajwal Revanna and his father HD Revanna for sexual harassment and criminal intimidation. This comes after about 3,000 videos showing purportedly visuals of sexual assault against several women surfaced in Hassan. This is right before the constituency went for Lok Sabha election. The allegation is that these videos were recorded by Prajwal. The JDS has suspended Revanna amid these allegations, and BJP has distanced themselves from their ally.
And as we're recording this, a lookout notice has been issued.
The Supreme Court on Friday rejected the plea for 100% verification of the votes with VVPAT slips or a return to the system of ballot papers. Court has said, to us, it is apparent that a number of safeguards and protocols with stringent checks have been put in place.
I saw my slip. I was able to see it. 7 seconds.
Okay, great.
When I voted.
Swedish-British medicine manufacturer AstraZeneca has admitted in the UK High Court that its vaccine can cause a rare side effect called thrombosis, TTS. So it's basically blood clotting. Thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome. That's the full form of this syndrome that you can get, but it's extremely rare. That's to be underlined.
Although I've spoken to several doctors, they said this is true for pretty much every vaccine. A certain amount of people will react badly to it. So, I mean, I think there's being a meal is being made out of this by anti-vaxxers. Not only, I'm sure some people have healthy skepticism, but to the doctors I've spoken to, this is not unusual for any vaccine. So, it's not
why
unique
is this a lawsuit then? Because they didn't disclose it.
I guess.
Gems from the PM this week. The Prime Minister has been giving a lot of speeches and not all of them are very savory. In an election rally in Telangana, he said that he would not allow reservations for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and other backward classes to be distributed to the Muslims as long as he lives.
Not that anyone said that he distributed, but still.
And then during another rally in Gujarat, he said, if you have 2 buffaloes, the Congress will take away 1 if voted to power.
And we ask him, if you have no buffalo, then what will they take? Then will they take a lot of bull? Get it?
તમારી પાસે 2 ભેંસ હોય તો એક ભેંસ કોંગ્રેસ વાળા કહેશે સરકારમાં આપી દો, એક તમારા છોકરાને આપવાની. કેમ તો અમારે એક ભેંસ અમારી વોટ બેંકમાં આપવાની છે. ये बीजेपी सरकार की गारंटी है कि धर्म के आधार पर किसी को भी एससी, एसटी, ओबीसी और जनरल के आरक्षण में से रत्ती भर भी हाथ नहीं लगाए दिया जाएगा. अब इंडी गठबंधन ने मुसलमानों से वोट जिहाद करने को कहा है. ये अर्बन नक्सल की सोच, मेरी माताओं बहनों, ये आपका मंगलसूत्र भी बचने नहीं देंगे. यहाँ कांग्रेस मर रही है और वहां पाकिस्तान रो रहा है. कांग्रेस ने अल्पसंख्यकों को अपने साथ रखने के लिए ओबीसी और दलितों के आरक्षण का कोटा मुसलमानों को देना तय किया है.
On Monday, a report by the Washington Post named a research and analysis wing officer Vikram Yadav for alleged involvement in a plot to assassinate Sikh separatist Gurpant Singh Pannu on American soil last year. India has strongly rejected these claims, while the US said that it's working regularly with India in its investigation of the allegations.
I think more than this guy, the report also speaks about Dovell or his involvement. So this is something which must have.
It's long 11-page report.
The Supreme Court has questioned the ED about the timing of Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal's arrest ahead of the Lok Sabha election. Life and liberty are exceedingly important, the court said. You can't deny that.
Supreme Court hasn't questioned. Supreme Court, I think, what I made out of it, that it was one of the questions that was raised by, Kejriwal and his lawyers. So, Supreme Court has asked them to respond to this.
So, it's not really questioning or pulling up of ED. They're saying, what do you have to say?
Yes.
Congress chief Arvinder Singh Lovely resigned from his post on Sunday, citing disagreements within the party. The Rajasthan police on Saturday expelled Bharatiya Janata Party Minority Morcha leader Usman Ghani in an alleged breach of peace case. You can watch a very detailed interview of his with our colleague Shiv. I think it's very interesting. This is, of course, after a video of Usman went viral where he's accusing the Prime Minister of Wahyat talk.
And this apparently does breach of peace, but the Prime Minister's speech, which outright is targeting community, is not a breach of peace.
And that odious Instagram reel put up by the Bharatiya Janata Party, which has been removed, which literally says that your gold will be snatched by Muslims. The Election Commission banned Bharat Rashtra Samiti chief and former Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao from election campaigning for 48 hours. And this is because of his remarks on April 5th about Congress, which was objectionable and derogatory. Do we know? I have missed what he said.
No, and he was giving lots of interviews during the lull period. So that was also one of the reasons.
No, I don't know what he said specifically.
It's the problem with all these stories. You never get to know what the objectionable thing is. President Draupadi Murmu on Monday visited the Ram temple in Ayodhya. This came after Rahul Gandhi's claim that she was not invited for the Pran Pratishtha ceremony of Ram Lalla in Ayodhya because of her tribal origin.
Completely unrelated, but
the fact remains that she didn't go
at that time. Correct.
At that time, and she's going now after
Rahul's claim.
I don't know why.
And then finally, is hafte ki adla badli in Madhya Pradesh. Akshay Kanti Bam, Congress Party's candidate from Indore, withdrew his nomination and joined the Bharatiya Janata Party. How about that? In Madhya Pradesh again, 6-time Congress MLA Ram Nivas Rawat quit the party and joined BJP. In Karnataka, Pradesh Congress Committee General Secretary Dr. Shushrut Gowda quit the Congress and joined the BJP. In Haryana, JJP's former state unit chief Nishant Singh joined the Congress. And in Telangana, former minister Alola Indrakaran Reddy quit the BRS and joined Congress.
So they are sort of children of the lesser god, but we have our series on turncoats is basically talking about all those turncoats who are contesting on MP for the MP elections. So they're the Congress as well as BJP. Of course, BJP has more quotes.
So you do read that, but let's get to the discussions now. So Anisha, you said you were in Hassan. That is where this entire controversy regarding this quite perverted gentleman, what's his name?
If you want to be careful, you can say purportedly perverted.
No,
because we are not sure if
if
you want to be legally sure.
I will commit to saying that he's perverted.
Yes, I think
he's
we
already
can
given
commit.
his judgment.
हमने commitment दे दिया.
उन्होंने judgment दे दिया.
Judge Sahab, can I say perverted or do I have to say purportedly perverted?
Allegedly, yes.
Allegedly. Okay. But I can, it's an opinion.
But basically,
I can say.
Close to 3,000 videos emerged in the run-up to the Lok Sabha election there. These videos apparently have about 70 women, ranging from house helps to party workers, to wives of party workers. And these videos, some of them at least show sexual harassment, molestation, even rape. And the allegation is that this person has shot it, Prajwal Revanna, who is JDS.
And he's the grandson of HD Devi Gowda, former Prime Minister of the country.
Candidate for JDS from Hassan.
Right. So, Anisha, how big an impact will this have outside Hassan? What is the impact in Hassan? And like the SIT has been formed, but there is no such tradition in Bangalore of demolishing houses of people who've been accused of stuff. Like in UP, an accusation is enough to have your house demolished. It could be about anything. Or Madhya Pradesh, even Mamu used to be so proud of it. And now he said, Mamu will take care of you, Shivraj Chauhan. Just give us an idea of the impact of this in the large election and Hassan itself.
So in Hassan, I mean, so my colleague Shivani Pawar and I were there 2 days ago and until yesterday. So what we found is that there is a lot of sadness in the sense that people are, they feel bad about what has happened. That is definitely there because the scale of the violence, alleged violence, if you can call it that, is something that people have not heard of. I mean, Karnataka has had its share of sex scandals and so on involving ministers and politicians and everybody. But that sentiment of, oh my God, look at what's happened. Okay, and this is disgusting. And how could he do this? You know, that kind of sentiment is there. People do talk about it. And there's two things here. One is that it's not exactly translated into support or rather a withdrawal of support against the JDS, but it's more focused on Prajwal Revanna himself. So the legacy that his grandfather Deve Gowda has, I mean, the respect that he has is still there. So the people are like, oh my God, you know, his name has been tarnished. He put us on the map. You know, he made us famous because he became Prime Minister and now everybody, you know, somebody from our town represented the country. So that kind of feeling is definitely there. And there is also another kind of feeling that, you know, he's maligned the name of Vokaligas also, because that entire region is, you know, under the control of the Deve Gowda family and has been so for decades. So that part is also there. Now, the videos themselves started surfacing on a massive scale, I think, 4-5 days before elections on April 26th. And they've spread a lot. And I think people have maybe seen them or they've definitely heard about it. But nobody will say that they've actually seen them, right? Because there's also a sense of shame associated with watching something like that. So outside of Hassan, I mean, the impact is yet to be felt because the JDS itself doesn't have any presence beyond the old Mysore region, Mysore, Mandya district, Hassan and so on, which is in the southern part of Karnataka. The next phase of elections, the constituencies that go to polls, 14 of them, they're all in North Karnataka. And so one aspect to this is that the JDS is in alliance with the BJP, right? So the BJP has just gone ahead and distanced itself from it, saying we didn't know anything about it, even though its own party leader from that district has, you know, been saying since December that these videos exist. And he's gone to town, you know, locally held press conferences and so on and talked about it and said, you know, that there are videos like this that are, you know, doing the rounds in Hassan district. Socially, however, yeah, there's definitely going to be an impact because look at what is happening. These are videos of women where violence has been committed against them. And there is also talk of this being consensual, quote unquote. And
in some instances, like I guess the same rule doesn't apply for all the women who were featured, right? And some they were consensual, some they're not consensual, some there's signs of distress.
That is what people see. That is the impression that people have. That they say that, in some of the videos, the women don't look like they're being forced. In some of the videos, couple of women are definitely, it definitely looks like an assault. But even this whole argument about consent has to be seen in the context of who this man is. If he has indeed done all of this, right? He holds immense power.
Exactly.
His family has been in power, for 50 years in that region.
And Anisha, just tell me, sorry, I just want to cut in. One thing that I was wondering, because at least what I have been told by people who, credible, people who are covering this, who have been following this since it broke, is that some of the ladies featured are, party workers or wives of party workers. Now, what I don't understand, when something like that happens, how is he or his father or their clout in the party still there? Because, it's like, I remember when I was in school, if there was one, and not even something so disgustingly hideous, if there was a slight committed to, I remember there were these two specific instances in the tea gardens in Assam, where there was this one manager whose child used to study with us, who was killed by the tea garden workers because they were completely outraged by the way he spoke to someone. Because those days there was a lot of unrest in the tea gardens. There were several cases of... What I don't understand is how something like this can happen with party workers. And the party workers are, haven't surrounded the house. So I don't get that.
See, that's the interesting part, right? Where does this power come from? It is caste pride, caste power, right? And Hassan district is not Vokaligas. They're a landowning community, largely farmers and so on, right? So they would be considered backward classes and so on socially, right? Now, but they are still dominant in the region. And they are present in a significantly large number, even though there are subcastes and so on. So Deve Gowda and his family belong to the highest of these subcastes. And they look down on other Vokaligas, right? So now when somebody rises to this level, now Deve Gowda has built a coalition of, he's built support among all castes for himself, right? But the benefits of that power have mostly gone to Vokaligas, and everybody recognizes that over there. So Hassan is definitely feudal in that sense, because everybody accepts a caste dominance, a casteist mindset as normal. And that's why they don't even see that this they don't question it. They don't think it's wrong. It's not that questioning this caste dominance is completely absent over there. It definitely isn't. But everybody, so the family derives its power from both things, right? They derive the political power because of their caste domination. And then their caste domination also amplified their political power also amplified their caste domination, right? It gives you a certain kind of, or it creates a sense of impunity, right?
I think there may also be one element of boys will be boys sort of sentiment playing out here, because even with the BJP leader who has been talking about these videos for a very long time, Devaraje Gowda, who's the advocate of the driver who first got access to these videos, in his letters he's indicating as dirty videos. It's not immediately apparent that it's rape or it could be molestation, because again there are 3,000 videos, some of them appear to be consensual. So I think the sense could have been at that point that he's a young guy fooling around and we have access to his dirty videos. So maybe the scale of what was happening was not really apparent. Also because a lot of these women do come, there are house helps, there are people who are at a much, the power equation is very skewed, so they may not have spoken about it. And also I think it probably got a pass that, okay, he's a young boy having fun. So I don't think it was very apparent till it actually came out. You saw what was happening.
So
maybe even among party leaders.
So I'm guessing the due diligence process in distributing tickets isn't as robust as one would imagine it would be generally in Lok Sabha elections. Clearly, if
yeah,
there
because
was
that letter by the BJP leader very clearly says that
if there is robust due diligence. I mean, there's more due diligence happens in a small company when you're figuring out what to do. But one last question, then I just open up to the panel, to Anisha. This is Hassan. As I look at the map, it's southern Karnataka, right? So right now, northern Karnataka is yet to vote. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's the part. So I saw Mr. Amit Shah's, not a speech, but he was giving an answer. You can't even call them answers because the interviews, quote unquote, that Amit Shah and Mr. Modi do are not interviews. A mic is put in front of them, so now say whatever you want and we will grin and behave like buffoons. But he says, well, this is on the Congress because law and order is with them. What were they doing?
नरेंद्र मोदी जी का पूरे देश को एक कमिटमेंट है कि कहीं पर भी मातृशक्ति के अपमान को सहन नहीं किया जाना। परंतु कांग्रेस पार्टी जो हम पर आरोप लगाना चाहती है, मैं छोटी सी बात पूछना चाहता हूं, वहां सरकार किसकी है? सरकार कांग्रेस पार्टी की है। फेक वीडियो आपके ध्यान में ही होंगे क्योंकि टाइम पर रिलीज किए गए हैं, और अब तक कार्यवाही कांग्रेस पार्टी ने क्यों नहीं की?
Does this have any political impact at all in the next phase or none?
Maybe not, because see, it depends on how strongly, maybe like say as a party, the Congress keeps up the pressure. But the BJP has also successfully created a narrative that Congress leaders also knew about it. And that the Congress state president, D.K. Shiv Kumar, he was also given these videos, right? So in all of this, like once the initial furor and uproar and shock of the videos themselves kind of lessened, then the blame game starts, right? They knew about it. We didn't do anything. Like we had no idea. So for about 3 months, the BJP's leader, Devraj Gowda, he kept on saying that I have these videos, right? How is it that none of the state BJP leaders ever knew about this, right? He kept saying in public so many times that he has written to the state president, Vijendra, and he's written to the national leadership. See, the national leadership, let's leave it out of it. But the state leadership, right? He kept on saying that he has told them about it. Then, once this thing breaks open and explodes, you have him backtracking and saying that no, I later realized that it wasn't delivered to him. I had sent him an email. I sent him a text on WhatsApp. I saw the blue ticks, and so I thought he saw it. Okay, so it's obviously like he's backtracking on that, right? Up until then, he was very, very clear about it. So how do you explain that? And how does the BJP state leadership not know?
But does JDS have any presence in North Karnataka?
No.
That's BJP
No.
all. That's all BJP area.
Yeah. No, they don't have much of a presence over there at all.
So in fact,
they used to contest seats earlier and all of that, and slowly their vote margins have dropped over the years. But they're now concentrated only in 4 or 5 districts where they have significant strength. And even there, the hold is loosening. Their strength is eroding.
So I mean, clearly the political impact, I don't know whether it'll have any impact in other states, but I'd like to hear what the panel makes of this. But I was just shocked at because one assumes that a lot of these people who work at broadcast channels are people you interact with, you've known them for the last several years. There is some depths below which they won't fall because you've known these people. Yeah, they were regular people at least once upon a time. But I mean, I wonder if there was this debate that, what's this guy's name? His name is Ramappa Timmapur. He's excise minister in the government, headed by Siddaramaiah. And he, of course, made it's not funny, but he, I guess, thought that this is a clever thing to say, that he wants to break the record of Lord Krishna. The channels were outraged with the ticker running that Mr. Ramappa crosses the line, hurts Hindu sentiment, hurts Sanatan Dharma, for commenting on this. But fucking this guy crossing any line, I didn't see this kind of outrage. In fact, you wrote an article on it. I mean, Newslaundry, someone did that. It wasn't even picked up in the first 2 days. Dude, the guy who's hosting it, the producer, the person who's lining up, these people we've known, yeah, what have their fucking brains got fried? Like this, I mean, what do they go home and tell their daughter, their child, their wife, their mother, their sister that, today I outraged and shouted on prime time and I sat on my bloody chair like there's a fucking burning coal under my ass and I was jumping around because of what this guy said, but I didn't show any such outrage on the act itself. I mean, we've gone to a different level of, disgusting vileness on prime time, but that's my rant for the week on this issue. But Manisha, you, I believe, have been speaking to some journalists in the South as well. No impact anywhere?
No impact anywhere. I think in this case, there's one interesting aspect of the role of the judiciary. And I was pretty stunned to see a Newsminute piece on it, actually, on the number of gag orders that courts in Bengaluru have given. So even the first indication of such a video existing came from Revanna himself, who went last year in June to the court and filed an injunction order against 86 media outlets that they cannot be talking about a video that may leak out, which is
not just media outlets. I've seen that order. It also names Twitter, all Meta platforms and YouTube. So
and
even
also
if
the driver who's supposedly had.
So even if one was to do it, you can't upload it. Yeah.
And he gets that order and no one talks about it. And just from reading from the Newsminute article, Deccan Herald over the last 10 years had about 516 injunctions. Times has had 486 injunctions. So why are these orders being given, without hearing the other party? And one thing that Dhanya was also telling me was that the opposition in Karnataka, which is Congress, in this particular case, has not been very vocal about this. They're talking about it, the central leadership is, but the pressure on Revanna and statements are not that strong as they should be, because every politician there has something or the other on them.
This nature?
Yeah, it's apparently a thing that there are lots of videos floating around of different... We don't know of this nature or not. So there's also a problem that this has been called a sex scandal and everything is being blurred. This is not really a sex scandal. This is quite different in terms like there's rape and molestation, but it gets clubbed with sex scandal, which seems to be a problem with all parties there and which shows in numbers with these injunction orders. Every other party has filed some of the injunction order to stop videos from coming out, which are possibly of this nature. I mean, that could be the only thing that, that's a guess, but... So I think parties there are also careful about how strongly they want to go against this person, because something can come out against them. And I think just yesterday, another politician's son has filed an injunction order against some Ishwarappa's son, some 100 media outlets. So I think that was pretty shocking to me. I didn't know that Bengaluru court was just going away, distributing these injunction orders across the board. 83 media organizations, 100 media organizations. You can't talk about a video that's going to come out. And as far as I was wondering about this, that is this the end of JDS? Because the scale is huge. And once it's out, I think there's going to be a lot of rage about he's just 33, this Prajwal Revanna guy. But there's also the internal dynamics within the JDS where the two, Prajwal's father and H.D. Kumaraswamy, they don't get along with each other at all. So H.D. Kumaraswamy's camp would possibly be very happy at just having these guys removed from the party. So JDS can actually emerge stronger with just Devegowda and H.D. Kumaraswamy as the faces, sidelining the brother and the grandson.
So wheels within wheels.
Yeah.
So from a legal point of view, how is it so subjective that, one court provides injunctions kilo ke hisab se? By the way, I know Anisha is busy, she has to work. So Anisha, whenever you want to go, please let me know. Because we will carry on for a while.
Yeah, so I guess I can step out now, possibly. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure. But thank you so much. Where are you heading to now? Your next phase? Will you be going up North Karnataka before polling or not yet?
We'll have to see. I mean, for now we are going to be in Bangalore, but I still have a couple of stories to work on, which I'm hoping to finish in a couple of days, so that they are out before polling date.
Yes, so please, those of you who haven't yet, please subscribe to the Newsminute. Subscribe during the Press Freedom Week so that you can also gift a subscription to someone who needs to read reports from independent media. And like you have seen, Newsminute and Newslaundry focus on ground reports, and we have fewer opinion pieces. We only have informed opinion pieces of people like Anand, Vardhan and other scholars. and not just anyone. So Anand grimaces as I say scholars, but that's the fact. But thank you, Anisha. Any recommendations before we say goodbye and you carry on to writing your stories?
Dignity, Fraternity, Knowledge. Lessons on Ambedkar's Social Democracy from Diksha Bhumi by Tejaswini Tabhane, which was published on Caravan. The short essay, I would urge people to read it if they can.
Right. Thank you and have a good weekend.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Right. So, Anand, it is so subjective, huh? It surprises me that, on the one hand, I'm quite grateful to the Delhi court. They wanted an injunction against us because India Today wanted us not to say anything about India Today, no matter what, of course. And
they would get it in Bangalore, I think.
They said, no, you can't get an injunction. Dude, Shashi Tharoor didn't get it against Republic in spite of the kind of stuff Republic said. I don't know if our viewers remember that during that, Sunanda Pushkar's death case, the kind of...
They had declared him guilty.
The kind of stuff that Arnab used to say, even he did not get an injunction, Shashi Tharoor. Bangalore keeps doubting injunctions. How is it so subjective?
I think 86 or 88 gag orders have been issued.
In Bangalore?
On this case?
Yes.
On this alone?
But because it is not covering, one order is not covering all media houses. So for getting it against each, you have to, a number came to 86 or 88. So, gag orders are basically the jurisprudence behind is that it would adversely affect fair trial. If this things comes out, it will. That is the reasoning that they give that if this things come out, it will adversely affect the fair trial because the judicial proceeding can be prejudiced against the accused on the basis of the material circulating.
Right.
Now, the provisions are in the Civil Procedure Code, Order 39, Rule 1, temporary injunction till the proceeding is going on, and Rule 2, permanent injunction. If the accused is declared innocent, then permanent injunction because you don't have the defense of truth. So it is slightly different from defamation. In defamation, you have defense of truth, and then you have defense of fair opinion, that without malice, and then you have defense of privilege, like court proceedings, everything is said, but the court has privilege of doing it in public interest. So gag orders are different because they somehow precede the final judgment. Right. In recent years, few more known cases of gag orders is, if you remember, 2014 Justice Swatantra Kumar versus Indian Express. He was accused of sexual harassment by an intern, and he had sought an injunction against Indian Express, and Delhi High Court had granted it. So, but
he's a judge.
There are also very different. One you mentioned, Arnab Goswami versus Republic TV. No, Arnab Goswami versus Shashi Tharoor. Yes.
Shashi Tharoor couldn't get.
He couldn't get. No.
Then there is Naveen Jindal versus GTV, 2015, I think, and then there are other circumstances when you can get it. Like Sahara versus Sebi case, very famous case.
In fact, Pachori also, right before ET was about to break the story on sexual harassment, had got a...
Yes, he did, I remember.
In Pachori case, it's a landmark judgment because the court said that while doing so, the media has to highlight and the font has to be greater, and if it's a broadcast, the ticker has to be greater than the material, means the news running, that the matter is sub judice.
Right.
So that is in the R.K. Pachori case. In that judgment was
the Terry Chairman.
Yes. So jurisprudence about that is there. Now
but it's so subjective.
Yeah, it's subjective. So I think all judgments are subjective. It's not.
Yeah, I guess.
So to an extent. Second thing is, in this case, I think why it would means the probability of it not becoming a political issue. I think guilt by association in if Indian electorate's psyche, guilt by association is not very strong. Like if someone is associated with something and he has done wrong, the electorate is not very harsh on him or the party. There are so many instances of it. But this case is also important from a different angle, that political or parties as a workplace means political organization as a workplace and the scope of say sexual opportunity in a workplace in while running a political party. Now that has been under examined because of different reasons. Political activity as an occupation has been under examined in India, because there are people who are say throughout the year political activists. Now political work as
work, as a
work.
profession,
and this say a kind of abstract entity sometimes without any physical space to think about political organization as a workplace. Now the sections they have sought under IPC are like 354D, that is Visakha guidelines. One is about stalking, and then 354 stalking has also
in
been
fact, the
invoked.
famous Bhavri Devi case was that was her workplace, right? That when she went out to villages, that was her workplace, which actually set up the Vishaka guidelines. So in that abstract sense, I guess that could also apply here, is what you say.
And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many parties have a functioning ICC.
That,
if there's been harassment within the
I think
party,
that's an interesting report to do. I think maybe
where do you go file a complaint?
We should do a joint report with the newsman on this. How many of them do have an ICC? Raman sir, yours before I go to Tanishka, she can comment on this and also tell us about Maharashtra. I mean, what do you make of this? The media coverage, the political kind of narrative around this?
I am not aware if his case was already under the police scanner when the gag orders were given. Okay, so this is the first thing. The gag orders, they matter if the case is under the police scanner and there is a threat to the individual's liberty. So that is why the gag order was given. So gag order...
Or if it impacts the proceedings, as Anand said.
There's no trial in this case.
So in that case, I mean, the case was not even under the police scanner. It was not even being examined whether it's a fit case to be to file an FIR. And the gag orders were just given is absolutely, something which...
it's very unusual.
I think legally very unusual. So, and second, now when the SIT is formed, I was discussing, I mean, I find it very civilized, way of dealing with the case. Of course, we can, I mean, let us see what the outcome is going to be. But at least, Karnataka has not reacted the way UP and Madhya Pradesh used to react, by demolishing the house. And imagine, I mean, if this guy who was a Muslim, what would have had happened, in a state ruled by the BJP.
Yeah.
So, I think we should wait and watch. It is definitely shocking. 3,000. I mean, there are certain facts which have come out, and the facts that the 3,000 such videos exist, and in these videos, more or less, are talking about the molestation. Even if it is consensual, it has to be proved. So this is quite shocking, and more shocking is that the politicians knew about it.
Yeah,
they had been discussing it through the press conference and even in public space.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yet
I think
no case was filed.
I think the understanding was that these are just sleaze videos. I don't think they understood the criminality aspect of it.
Clearly, I mean, at least mine, I won't speak on behalf of all of us, understanding of what matters politically is very disconnected from what matters politically to people. Like, I would have think this is a complete deal breaker. Even if you have no sense of, if you have no moral compass, no ethics, purely practically, you'd say this candidate is a disaster. Clearly, he's not, and the Indian public also seems to think that this is okay. So I mean, it's at least some part, a significant amount to not, for it not to not impact him politically.
Just on one thing I wanted to add on the legal aspect of the case, with these videos, it'll be important to have some evidence of the guy in the video, which it seems the allegation is he's shooting it. So then much of the case will depend on the testimonies of the victims and the driver, who's the key witness. And I think in this case, it's very scary because these videos were circulated with like pen drives, thrown in parks, put in parking benches, just circulated without morphing the faces of these women who are going to face immense pressure from their, immediate family, their peers. There's going to be social shaming. So you may have a lot of witnesses who may just want to not come forward and not take part in this at all. So I think this SIT should also examine who circulated these videos without, it's really terrible for the women who are in these videos.
Good luck with that. We still don't know who had delivered those Radia tapes to all the studios till today. What, 20 years have passed? We still don't know who delivered those tapes, those video recordings. But Anand, you want to say something? I'll go to Tanishka and wind this up.
No, just I'm adding on the point of gag orders that in most of the cases courts issue gag orders, but state and central governments can also issue. Like when you see that some communal tension is there and the government says that no broadcast channel will play this, that is also a kind of gag order, that government issues. Second thing is that it is also the community that the person was representing, that the panelist also referred to, that was also the position of this party as a moving piece between two rival alliances in the state. It can go either side. Till in 2018 it was an ally of the Congress.
Right. So no one wants to do no one wants to break up that you can't make up again. So that's why I guess they'll go soft on it. That's interesting. So Tanishka, you want to weigh in on this and then tell us about Baramati and the parts that have already voted or will be voting shortly in Maharashtra. But by the time this episode goes up, they would have voted, right?
No.
This is going up
May
on
7th
Sunday.
is when they
May 7th, right?
May 7th.
Okay, fine. Tanishka, go ahead.
So when it comes to this, I think how much it's going to dominate political ecosystem in the time to come really depends on how much the opposition in Karnataka can also take it forward, which I don't think they really will, since fingers can also be pointed to them since they are the ruling party there. And again, like Manisha mentioned, just calling this a sex scandal is certainly very disrespectful to the women, because regardless of how consensual it seems, there is a very skewed power dynamic there. So I think, again, media really needs some sensitizing of how you really take issues forward. Yeah.
Right. And what about Maharashtra? First, tell us where all you've been. What is the kind of bill I should be expecting on travel? And I hope you have been eating in the Lord's home, which are Gurdwaras, so you can save Newslaundry a lot more money.
She's living with her family in Bombay, so we are cost cutting like this.
Oh, right. Very good.
No hotel bills.
And when she travels to Baramati, etc.?
Then we say, ghar se tiffin pack karke jao.
Okay, so chalo, very good. I must say, Manisha and Raman sir have really internalized the ethos of Abhinandan ki kanjusi. But yeah, what is it like there? I mean, Mr. Pawar probably has the longest. When we come to Bihar, I'm sure Anand will come up with someone from his home state who has a longer innings. But Mr. Pawar has dominated Maharashtra politics for so long. Is he a, as they say, phoka hua kartus, or is he still?
Who's the real Pawar?
He can rock the world over there.
I mean, in Baramati, the sympathy wave for him really can't be denied, because even those who have chosen to side with the Ajit faction, whether party workers or voters, feel an immense sense of gratitude for him. And, there's this sentiment that if Sharad Pawar was not born in Baramati, where would we be? So that sentiment is very much there, but it's like gotten people really confused how much this will translate into votes. So I spent 3 days in Baramati across the area speaking to people, and some people are very determined that they are going to continue to support Sharad Pawar, but the others are leaning towards Ajit because they think that the future he will be able to contribute more, and his position also in NCP has been that he's been the one looking after the local problems in Baramati. So people associate that development, future development also with him. So, sometimes not realizing that they were functioning together. But this sort of which NCP you're supporting has got like not just family divided, the Pawar family divided, but even the just families of people in Baramati, I mean, one single family has people supporting different factions. So it's causing a lot of confusion as to which is the real NCP. And people often confuse, even while I was in conversation with them, they refer to Sunetra as Supriya or Supriya as Sunetra.
So just for our audience's benefit, just explain what are the two factions and who are the names associated. Which faction is starring who?
And who are the contestants?
So
no one is talking about contestants. Everybody is talking about Pawar.
Right.
Exactly. But both the contestants are also Pawars, essentially.
Right.
There is Sunetra Pawar, who is Ajit Pawar's wife, who is contesting from the Ajit-led NCP. And this is her first election, but she's been working behind the scenes last almost 2 decades, helping her own family. And the other side is Supriya Sule, who has been a 3-time MP, who's contesting from the Sharad Pawar NCP. So they have a
and
new
she's
symbol.
Sharad Pawar's daughter.
She's Sharad
And
Pawar's
Ajit
daughter.
Pawar is Sharad Pawar's nephew, so they are first cousins.
Yes.
Right.
And both the factions pretend that this is not going to affect family ties. But it clearly has, because even in the speeches that the Pawars have been making, not just the contesting Pawars, but the rest of the family has also had to choose sides. So Ajit Pawar's brother and nephew is on Sharad Pawar's side. And Ajit's own children, of course, are with Sharad. So there is a lot of... And
Sorry,
they're all Pawar.
Ajit's children are with Sharad Pawar.
Ajit's children are with Ajit.
Right.
But Ajit's nephew is
and
with
brother
Sharad.
Is with Sharad. Okay, right.
Yeah, so in our story, we have a nice little family tree to really show who is with who, because it gets quite confusing even for people on ground, even the party workers, because until a few months ago, they were all working as one, So on the surface, the party workers also seem very confident with their faction that is going to lead. But in off-record conversations, a lot of them expressed sympathy or rather wanting the other side to win, and just sort of speaking about how tough the battle is. So, like, without exaggeration, I think this election is really going to seal the fate of NCP, at least, because this is the first election that NCP is fighting as two, and Baramati is really what got NCP into Maharashtra politics and then beyond.
Right.
So, depending on who wins this battle will sort of seal the future, as to their future.
So, just the campaigns, the ad campaigns there, I was seeing the Shiv Sena has a very interesting digital ad campaign. They have really clever ads, well made. I mean, I would expect that since Bollywood is the heart of the cinema industry. What is the campaign there like? Because I remember, was it the election commission or the court that the Sharad Pawar faction went to, that, not only are you giving them the symbol and the name, they were also using his face in their campaign. He says, they can't use my face, I am me, I'm on this side. And they were saying, no, we should be allowed to use his face. So are there posters using his face? Or can Sharad Pawar, as he succeeded in saying, my face is mine, so only I can use it?
Yeah, not anymore. Now Ajit Pawar faction uses their own faces, and Modi's face, of course, and Fadnavis and Eknath Shinde. But interestingly, I mean, I know there has been talk about how elections are a little dull this time. And even in Baramati, despite this being such a high-profile battle, there was not as much noise as you would expect. There was no sort of poster, no hoardings. It's just the autos and tractors roaming around that have their posters. So I think in Maharashtra, there's also a lot of just fatigue over the political khichdi that has happened in the last few years. So even in Bombay, and I'm in Aurangabad now, there is just that feeling of, does it even matter who we vote for, when essentially it's all going to be, mix matched by
That's
the time.
unfortunate.
Actually, I had two questions of Tanishka. One was this, like, leave the party workers aside, but regular neutral voters, did you sense this feeling of exasperation because Maharashtra has seen so much turmoil? Shiv Sena, NCP, there's just been...
The divide.
So is there like an
Fadnavis.
exasperation? And is there any anger against the BJP that you sense that they kind of engineered this breakup between this party or this family?
And I think you have maximum turncoats also in Maharashtra.
Yeah, like you said earlier, Raman, so that Maharashtra has given a whole new definition of turncoats, because it's entire parties. In Baramati, there is definitely, especially with those supporting Sharad Pawar, that anger towards the BJP also, because they believe that this has happened because of them and because of Ajit Pawar's cases, ED cases, from which he's gotten a clean chit now. So there is also that knowledge about the washing machine phenomena. And I remember before I'd gone, we'd spoken about how we should really focus on how the Pawars are educating people about the new symbol, because for years of having the clock symbol, now they have a complete new symbol. It's a man blowing a tutari, but everyone seems to know what the tutari is. And it's also such an instrument that really makes a lot of noise. So that effort of educating people about it has gone really well for the Sharad faction. But now there's also an independent candidate in Baramati who's also been given a tutari. So they filed a complaint with the election commission now because they think that voters might get confused. But in Baramati, everyone is very aware of the split. They have their opinions on why it happened, and are almost everyone is a traditional NCP voter in Baramati. I think I had in-depth conversation with 30 voters, out of which 28 have been voting for NCP for generations since they got the right to vote. So for a lot of them, this is a very big choice to make, because it's the first time
they're actually making a choice. Otherwise it was just reflex action, like my grandmother's generation. Hum to Congress ko vote dalte hain, no matter what happens, or people from the Sangh, hum to jisko Sangh bolega. This time they actually have to make a choice.
Yes, definitely. And a lot of them are going to be, they said that they're going to go according to just what their whole, their neighborhood also will be going with. Some of them have sort of come up with this, that we'll keep Sharad Pawar faction in Lok Sabha and we will keep Ajit Pawar faction in the Legislative Assembly.
Sabko baant ke khilao. This is...
Yes.
Happy family.
But, some of them also do see that they believe in the whole double engine phenomena. They think that if they vote for Ajit Pawar, they will get even more benefits because they'll be able to vote with the center. They'll be able to work much better. So, and so many layers. Like this one voter is a Muslim voter who does not want to see Modi come into power, and he spoke very articulately against the hate policies that he believes Modi's government is creating. But he's still going to vote for Ajit Pawar because he believes that in his area, at least Ajit should represent him because development. So there are a lot of layers even to individual voters' decisions.
So good luck with the rest of your travels, Tanishka. Thank you so much for bringing us up to date with this, and please bring me up to date with the budgets also. And first of all, we must thank our subscribers. She is?
I said she's eating home food.
And they're all doing intermittent fasting.
She's happy about it.
See, this is the thing. Come work at Newslaundry and also get diet advice. Raman's has been doing intermittent fasting the longest time, and he's been convincing me I'll vanish if I do any more fasting. But thank you. By the way, we had 6 election funds. They were all topped up, so really grateful.
Yay.
Which is why our journalists are able to go on the ground. Now, Manisha will be going to, I guess, a few other states.
Uttar Pradesh and Bihar.
Atul is leaving for
He's already
West
in West
Bengal
Bengal.
tomorrow. He's leaving tomorrow.
He's leaving tomorrow. Okay, so thank you. But do please spread the word. Do continue to contribute, so that the aim is that we should have 2 journalists between News Minute and Newslaundry together in every state in the country. Right now, we just have it about 7 states or 8. And there are, I think, 27 states in the country. They keep increasing, so I lose count. So the link is in the show notes below. Avail of our Press Freedom Week offer. And if you don't, just subscribe anyway. Spread the word. Tell your friends, relatives, etc. Tanishka, before you go, recommendation that would enrich the lives of our listeners. Since you're in Mumbai, I'm hoping it'll be some entertainment piece.
Oh God, no.
No, okay. It's
I'd like to recommend my own story in Baramati, Ajit and Sunetra's
Well
double
played.
engine versus Sahib and Supriya, which is also done because of people who supported our work. So
Nice.
I think that's the piece to read right now.
Thanks, Tanishka. All the best and
Thank you.
travel safe. So I do want to spend some time talking about the Prime Minister's speeches. So I would like to give 10-15 minutes to that. But before we get to that, a bit about Bihar. I know you've been here, my lord. So you haven't been back home in Bihar, but
Back
What-
home in Bihar, I am in my room.
Achha, it's not like you're.
But he's a keen reader of
It's not like you're.
Bihar politics.
It's not like you're standing in the nukkad eating chana and saying, "Aaj na, main batata hu kya hoga." You're not one of those. But I just want to get your view on. According to many people, 2 states will determine this election. One is Maharashtra and one is Bihar, because including the Indian Express article, which specifically spoke about Maharashtra, that it's a pollster's nightmare to call Maharashtra. It also appears it's a pollster's nightmare to call Bihar. Not that pollsters have been phenomenally correct, but there's some sort of logic that they can go by. Do you think it is as unpredictable? Bihar and Maharashtra are the 2 states that will
the
be
2 battleground states.
yeah, the 2 battleground, because there is an equal fight there. And this entire politics of Bihar has a significant Muslim population. In phase 2, the Prime Minister suddenly, from his other plank of whatever it was, that I'm so amazing and great and vote for me just because I'm me, has gone to कि तुम्हारी एक भैंस ले लेंगे, तुम्हारी गाय ले लेंगे, तुम्हारा ये कर लेंगे. अब आस्क हिम, मेरी भैंस नहीं है तो मेरा क्या लेंगे? तो
सोना.
भैंस को डंडा
मेरे
क्यों
पास सोना भी नहीं है. तो लैपटॉप भी
तुम्हारा
एक ही है.
मीडिया कंपनी ले लेंगे.
मीडिया कंपनी, that's true. वो भी मेरी का है, वो तो आप लोगों की है. मैं पॉलिटिशियन की तरह बोला ना एकदम. So yeah, tell us, is okay, which is more difficult in your view to analyze outcomes, Maharashtra or Bihar?
See, Bihar and Maharashtra may be battlegrounds. I will come to that. But they will determine the outcome of the national polls. I am not convinced about that. It is just like sometimes what commentators do, that there is a boring football match going on. And what is the commentator's duty there? To somehow animate it, somehow liven it up, like this is happening, that is happening, but the spectator is knowing that it's a boring match. So that is...
Achha, so that is this.
So, and second is... means Bihar battleground for 2-3 regions. Generally, if you see the last assembly polls 2020, so if you see the seat tally, Bihar is the most unique state which has given seats to, say, a right of center party like BJP, a centrist party like Congress, Lohiite parties like JDU and RJD, institutional left like CPI, CPIML, it has given seats to it. It has given seats to Owaisi's party. You will not have such diverse seat tally in any state. So because of its the diverse political affiliations of the electorate, it has become a tricky thing to predict. But having said that, there is one distinction to be made, that Bihar is a state of very dense population. Within a limited area, a lot of people live. So when assembly comes to Lok Sabha, because of the delimitation, the assembly elections, like many other states, are not a good predictor of the Lok Sabha elections, because the caste arithmetic and a lot of things change in Lok Sabha because of it's a larger area, and 2-3 assembly segments are in one Lok Sabha seat. So that is third is, after the caste census, which Mr. Nitish Kumar and Tejaswi Yadav jointly did, it is not clear that the non-Yadav OBC electorate. Now, Yadav electorate is supposed to be with Mr. Tejashwi Yadav, the RJD. It's MY, his stronghold of Muslim Yadav combined. But it is not clear that the non-Yadav OBC vote bank and even the EBCs, they are going to give credit to Mr. Nitish Kumar or Mr. Yadav. And third thing is that the job promise, though it's a very wrong way of giving employment, that's another debate. But they had promised 20 lakh jobs, and they during say 14 months with Mr. Yadav, 4 lakhs jobs were given. The appointment letters were given. Now RJD is willing to trying to cash on it. So now again the credit came that who. Also, what has happened is that within last 2 or 3 years, Nitish has done 2 switches. Now his and it's a spillover effect on BJP as the senior partner in the NDA alliance, maybe incalculable, not in the extreme sense, that's the wrong, uncertain. It's uncertain that what's the spillover effect of it. Now these things make combine to make it a tight race at this point of time. But it will also see 2 things will also determine that BJP's there are only 2 cadre-based parties in Bihar. Rest of them are headquarters driven, BJP and RJD. Now the worker strength of which in a scenario of low turnout, which party has greater organizational strength to take out the committed voters out of their homes and make them to vote.
And that I think is the challenge of this election, because at least in UP, in Mathura, and one more, day before yesterday's newspaper had the data, there's been a 4 to 6% drop. In fact, it was less than 50% the turnout in some of these places in the UP, which is quite distressing. But so
Anand
that
has written a piece
on that. But just what Anand said, just to give our audience a perspective, just give the context. Bihar has 40 seats, Lok Sabha seats. In 2019, BJP won 17. The Janata Dal United won 16. The LJP won 6. So the combine of the NDA won 39 and the Congress won 1. So the likelihood of improvement there is negligible. Whereas they also got 100% in Rajasthan. They got 100% in Gujarat. In Madhya Pradesh, they got all but Chhindwara. Now, it seems that it's unlikely Gujarat will see any swing any other way. So, which is why Bihar, because suddenly these guys, and Tejashwi's campaign is quite interesting. His whole idea of playing the PM speech.
अगर इसी प्रकार से महंगाई बढ़ती गई तो गरीब क्या खाएगा? लेकिन प्रधानमंत्री महंगाई का मां बोलने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, महंगाई का मां बोलने के लिए तैयार नहीं। इनका अहंकार इतना है, महंगाई के लिए एक शब्द बोलने को तैयार नहीं है।
I think this has been suggested on the Hafta only by several people, including me, that they should treat rallies like a rock show. It's not just about a person speaking. Start off with an AV. Respond to the AV. Use the videos of those people. And I think he's done it, and suddenly that clip of his went viral. Say, oh, so brilliant, genius. Of course, it's genius. It's the most obvious thing to do. You can cut entire, instead of these reels just playing on Insta, play them on a stage and then respond to that. Because that just gives you an excuse which very few politicians can show anything that this is why I'm good. Most people are convinced to vote because that person is so shit. Like Anand will tell me who said this, that democracy is choosing the least worst option.
I think Churchill said it.
Yeah.
I may be wrong, but
but we'll go with it. That's okay.
As far as I remember.
If you're wrong, people will still believe that it must be Churchill. If I say it, then people will check. So Anand
will anyway check now.
but I just think it's a fantastic way of carrying out a campaign, just react to the others like Modi ji is doing. He has been here 10 years. He has not said this is what I've done. He keeps saying this is what they're going to do.
Yeah.
On this...
More than his own governance, he has been talking about what Nehru had done, what Indira Gandhi had
what
done.
Congress may do if they come to power. But before we get into the speeches, like in the headlines, we said the gems of the week. Because I'm just blown away by his, campaign. 2014 wasn't like this, 2019 wasn't like this. I don't know whether it's desperation, whether it is... I have a theory which I'll come to later. But Manisha, you want to comment on Bihar and then tell me what you think about the gems of Mr. Modi?
So on Bihar, I don't want to comment. I think Anand has given us a good overview. On the gems of Prime Minister Modi, I think it's really fascinating what's playing out. And it starts off in Banswara in Rajasthan, the first speech. And to understand it, I think one really needs to look at what's been happening in Rajasthan and the reports coming out from there, and to a few motor-mouth BJP candidates. So Nagaur candidate there is sometime in March, he says that, we need 400 par to change the constitution. And there's a few other leaders who say that if you want to amend the constitution, we need 400 par. Now, the opposition there is very quick to pick this up. And Hanuman Beniwal, who is now in alliance with Congress, with the India, picks it up immediately and says that this is a code word for changing reservation. And the Congress leadership very effectively spreads mass propaganda that they are going to take away your reservation. And this has its effect in Rajasthan, a state that voted on the face of Modi just for state assembly.
With 100% result.
And now there's a fight. I mean, reporters who've gone there, ground reports that are coming from there says there's a takkar ki ladai ho rahi hai wahan pe. To the point, even this latest controversy of the Delhi police filing an FIR against a morphed video of Amit Shah saying that we're going to take away reservation. So Congress really spreads this. There's disquiet among OBCs, Dalits, that what do they really mean by changing constitution. And it's very interesting if you see interviews that Modi has been given or even Amit Shah has been given to Smita Prakash, she goes at length explaining that we will never change constitution. No one can even touch Ambedkar's constitution, because the opposition effectively uses Ambedkar's constitution to signal that they're going to take away reservations. And the counter to this then comes, I think, which BJP often, resorts to, sort of a formula that if there are caste anxieties, then you can kind of turn it around and introduce religion into it. So then suddenly they flip the narrative and make it all about OBCs, SC, STs need to be worried about their rights being given to Muslims.
Inheritance tax, because there's so much inheritance in
or
in
you
that
just
segment of
change
society.
that anxiety among the lowered castes that their reservation may go by saying that actually your rights will go to a religious grouping, which this government favors, or the Congress government. So it's, at the face of it may seem that the BJP is setting the narrative with this anti-Muslim rhetoric, but it's actually responding to a narrative that the opposition had been very successful in kind of spreading on ground. And the second
So you think it's a response to that?
I do think. And I do think that there is an over-analysis also, that they're scared, ya dar gaye hain, ya they're worried. I don't know, because you really have to travel the length and breadth of the country to come to such an analysis, how scared they are or whatever. But I think rallies are also about essentially communicating to your booth workers, to your core voter base, to give them something to get excited about. And I think this is also BJP's way of spicing up an election, which people are complaining again and again that is boring. Because this is really what enthuses the core voter. Your booth workers who can then start this conversation, in nukkars or whatever, and use this as a rallying point to get more and more people out. So it's also communicating to your core base that it's really spicing up elections, I think. Like, that's the second aspect to it. I don't think it's because wo dar rahe hain ya wo ladkhara rahe hain. We'll know the results, how much of that is true. But I think I wouldn't buy that aspect of the analysis coming out of it.
Right. Raman sir, what is your take on this?
Completely agree with you, Manisha. And I have also been very closely seeing that anything that should talk about OBC or the SC, ST, and opposition has effectively done it. So he is linking it with the religion. Recently, I think today is there in the newspaper that till I die, I will never let, reservation happened on the basis of religion. No one is talking about it.
Yeah, he's not like
No.
no one even
is talking
propose
about
nothing.
No one is talking about it. But
And more importantly, the center already has a list where Muslims are accommodated within OBCs,
Yes.
including in Gujarat,
Yes.
including in all these states. So,
yes, so he is worried. In fact, he has spoken. He has told his contesting colleagues that they should go and tell people that we are not going to change the constitution. This has also come out in one of the workers meeting. He has said all these workers should go hit the ground and say that the BJP will never ever change the constitution.
I mean, I have another take on this. I think it is a part of, at least what I have observed is, see, it's clear 2014 he fought completely on development. It was achhe then achhe. There was no communal campaign.
And UPA's misdemeanors.
Yeah. So the fact that there has been such a huge shift, I think does have to do with, maybe desperation is too extreme a word to use, that you're running out of ideas. So you are going to fall back on this. If you remember Bengal and also Delhi, both where they got decimated, the entire play of communal card came at the end. Now, whether that is because they see that the rest is not working, so they say, let's throw all our eggs into the Hindu-Muslim basket. It didn't work in Bengal. It didn't work in Delhi. I mean, that entire riot, depending on who you believe, engineered, not engineered, engineered by whom. If you want to believe that trashy book that I think Op India has also been part of writing or whatever, which it was a riot against the Hindus, because clearly, 15% people are going to riot against 85%. But anyway, but if you see, the trend is that even in Madhya Pradesh, do you remember when Mamu was shafted and another chief minister made, right till the end, there was no mention of bulldozer. He came up with that at the end. It was all about Mamu ne Ladli scheme, ye wo. Right at the end, they come up with the Hindu-Muslim angle. So I think it's when they want to, it's a Hail Mary, basically. It's when they throw the kitchen sink at it. Otherwise, it would be a consistent thing right throughout. The second thing is, I think the kind of bizarre thing the Prime Minister says, it is, I may be overanalyzing it, but I really thought of this. I thought I'd write a piece, but I said, people say, kuch kaam karke kya time pass piece rakha, but I still might. I've mentioned the online disinhibition syndrome of Time magazine. Had done a cover story 5-6 years ago. Now there are a lot of scholarly papers written on it. In fact, if you Google this online disinhibition syndrome or online disinhibition effect, there are lots of scholarly articles written by psychoanalysts, psychiatrists, psychologists on what it is doing to us. Because when there is no immediate repercussion of what you say, you tend to be nastier, meaner, crueler, more extreme, etc., etc. Because, I mean, let alone anybody else, one person who keeps telling me, I don't say anything to him because he's a neighbor. I keep crossing him on the street. But online, on Twitter, he keeps saying, Abe sale naksal dikha teri to band kar denge. I'm so glad you got raided and all. And then I'll walk in the morning and I'll see him and we'll smile at each other. He'll never say that to my face. You see, the thing is, so the thing, and I don't even want to make it awkward. I don't tap him and say, Abe, Twitter mein kya bol raha tha? So the point is, it makes us, now what is happening with Mr. Modi is, now why does that happen? It's not just because it's digital. The psychology is you're not questioned about it. There is no pushback. So I think you start talking complete nonsense. In Mr. Modi's case, his online disinhibition syndrome has become offline. Because no one is going to question him. Boss, aap kya bol, kiski bhais le ja rahe hain? Who has said bhais will be taken away? Inheritance tax of... But he knows he doesn't have to answer these questions. That ridiculous cringe interview by those 3 editors sitting. One saying, आप इतने tough decisions कैसे लेते हैं? Another saying, oh, आप इतने महान कैसे? आप में power कहाँ से आती है? And today's ad, TV9 is saying,
5 editors.
5 editors और 1. अबे पास बैठ के क्या करोगे?
So, just on the CNN News, CNBC interview, they raised this question of, आपने कहा कि सोना चांदी आदिवासियों और दलितों का देके मुस्लिम को दे दें. The question is, क्या ये threat real है? That's the question. क्या ये threat real है?
एक कांग्रेस के मैनिफेस्टो पर एक डायरेक्ट अटैक किया. आपने ये तक कहा कि इनका एक स्कीम है जिससे कि ये वेल्थ डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना चाहते हैं. ये पता लगाना चाहते हैं किसके पास कितनी जमा पूंजी है, किसके पास कितना पैसा है, किसके पास कितना सोना है, सिल्वर है, चांदी है, और उसको वो मुसलमानों में और घुसपैठियों में बांट देना चाहते हैं. क्या ये थ्रेट इतना रियल है? क्या आपको ऐसा दिखता है?
क्या आपको वाकई लगता है थ्रेट रियल है?
इसे हाँ रियल है, सो तब तो रियल ही होगा.
And then Modi gives 5-minute lecture कि this is the media's job, you are not doing anything. I had to step in and educate the country about what is happening.
I mean,
you have not done anything.
Yeah, so basically
and enlightening the media.
It was really funny.
So the question was framed that way.
So the disinhibition syndrome is not purely because it's digital. It is because there's no pushback. No one, you don't have to explain your position to anyone. Now in Mr. Modi's case, his online disinhibition syndrome has become offline. He's completely disinhibited, uninhibited. So he's saying, कुछ भी पेल दो, कौन पूछेगा मुझे? है ना? पूछने वाला तो है. Which is why it's important to question. And that is true for everybody. Everybody's talking such shit because they know they don't have, like this Prajwal's father, this is not, it happened 5 years ago. Oh, then it's okay. ठीक है, ये 5 साल. I mean, what the fuck? Like, which idiot, which moron will say that? Only a moron who knows there's no pushback. You do not have to answer. So I think Mr. Modi's bizarre, outlandish gems are the offline function of the online disinhibition syndrome. I've said my psychoanalysis because, as you know, I'm a trained psychiatrist. Now let's ask the trained judge. What do you make of this? Strategically, do you think there's a pattern to each election? It starts off on development or other issues?
Explain to us the BJP's thinking.
My cliched way of saying anything, quite repetitive it is that we can see it, the essential point of it and the immediate. The essential is that the right of center formations have always since 1920 fought elections very seriously. Even if they have been decimated, they have fought every election very seriously because they know the value of power and for furthering their agenda. So what you are saying is that reconfiguration of public sphere in last few years has also contributed to how he pitches himself. The essential point is that to keep, though that is not a very decisive number to win an election, to keep the core voter on his side and very assured of it, minoritism and appeasement would be played up. Minoritism as a form of appeasement on religious grounds, that would be played up, but he knows that is not enough to win an election. Otherwise, elections in India would be very simple. So, then again, what she was pointing out, that like you see 2015 election, BJP's one of the key grudges against RSS is that Mohan Bhagwat's statement made them lose that election about reservation policy has to be revised.
Sure.
So that was, though there were other factors also, but the sheer misinterpretation of it or its chance, and he gave a very solid material for the opposition to work with. Now, a similar thing this dangling this danger that the constitution revision would be there, and one of the essentials of it would be taking away the reservation. Now, that's a catch-up game that he has been confronted with, how to respond to that. So these things are there, but I think he has, there is not any election in which he has not subtly put the Hindu interest point. Even in one election, there is not a complete election in which none of his speeches touched upon essential core Hindu interest thing. He does that, sometimes subtly, sometimes in a crass way. But because
I'm not subtle, clearly.
So for him it is say a matter of ideological conviction. People may on the other side may see it differently. Also the context of each state he sees. He may speak very differently in North Bihar. He will speak differently in South Bihar. I am coming back to Bihar because that was one reference point I see. And that contest is, I think, for every political party. Now, see, Rahul Gandhi, for all his campaign against the misuse of central agencies in Kerala, he says that why the Chief Minister of Kerala didn't present himself to CBI investigation and ED probe. And
why is he still free?
Why
in
is
as many
still
words?
So why is so free? He is legitimizing the action of the central agencies there.
Oh.
He is working within the context of the state politics. So that is also there. So combination.
No, so far as his ideological construct is, I have no problem with that. I mean, he is ideologically, he is for Hindus, so he speaks about it. But his rhetorics are so off the ground. I mean, his rhetoric, he's factually so wrong. The Prime Minister is factually so wrong, and he's getting away with it is something which...
And that's because...
where I support what you are
the
saying.
no questions are asked. No, for example, this whole inheritance tax thing. Now, today there are 2 pieces on it or 1 piece in the Indian Express on the op-ed pages. When did this become an issue? No one has advocated an inheritance tax in that sense, but it's become a debate. They managed to make something the centerpiece, which is not the centerpiece. Like it's suddenly... So, I mean, I just find that fascinating. So, Manisha, I'll give you the last word on the political rhetoric. Anything that we may have missed before we get on to the emails and the feedback from our audience?
No, I think we've covered everything on the
right.
political record.
So, now
we'll
we'll
get to the letters.
We'll get to the letters and your feedback. We only entertain the criticism, the critique, the feedback of subscribers. So, only if you're a subscriber will your email or letter be included here. And although we keep insisting that you keep it below 200 words, many times you cross it. But today I'm happy to see most of them are below 200 words. So you can write in at podcasts@newslaundry.com. I repeat, podcasts@newslaundry.com, or click on the link in the show notes below. It will open out a window and you can fill in your feedback there. That is a much more efficient and better way of doing it. But we also check our inbox. So, will you please do the honors, Manisha?
So, Aarti says, hi Hafta team, on the topic of political elections, I'm curious generally if there's any intellectual capacity or curiosity anywhere, either in Indian context or elsewhere, with the same 5-year term or less governments for alternate models. Clearly, it seems to me that short-termism in politics is not really working in the favor of the common public. It's given us greedy politicians, short-term thinking in policy making, building institutions and services that serve the public long-term, not on the agenda of any political party. Isn't this the root of most problem? Are we as human beings so dull to never reimagine? Can proportional representation plus longer political terms be explored, or other ideas like that?
I have no view on this. You've travelled. What do you think?
I haven't understood the question actually. That it's
the
short term? That the politicians are thinking short term?
The present, the political system that we have is not serving the
alternate models.
Does she mean to limit a term of a government to 5 terms? I mean to 1 term, and then make sure that is not repeated? Like you can't contest an election beyond 2 terms, something like that.
I'm not sure actually.
I'm confused. Sorry.
Aarti, you've confused us. Clearly there's no intellectual capacity here.
This is too much above.
You can read again.
Should I?
Oh.
Okay, now you understand then. I'm reading.
Everyone will understand. Well, second reading gives
on the topic of political elections, I'm curious generally if there's any intellectual capacity or curiosity anywhere, either in the Indian context or elsewhere, with the same 5-year term or less governments for alternate models.
So, matlab basically, ek baar tum looto, ek baar hum lootenge. I think that won't work. It'll be worse even, I think.
And you don't want that.
And then there would be no incentive for good governance.
Correct.
If you are not getting re-elected.
Come back.
So that's what she meant, that you limit the second term basically. You don't allow a party to sort of... No, I don't think that's a good model. I think people should
party, no. But yes, I mean, if somebody has served as PM for 2 years, 2 terms.
No, that I think
the
definitely.
US has that, right? You can't, third time you can't.
You can't be third term president.
You can't be third
I think that actually is important. I think you should have that for chief ministers. You should have that for prime ministers.
Yeah.
That will make parties more democratic.
And there'll be performance ka pressure.
And there'll be churn within the party.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Circulation of...
You can insulate it from one man's taking over. Manan says, Manan says, hi, I don't know whether you know or not. There was dirty politics played in Surat, Gujarat seat. Shorter version is that Congress candidate made mistakes in application form and got rejected. So we have a very good piece by Basant on this, which does hint at a collusion between Congress and BJP. But yeah, You should read that. It's an interesting piece. Local newspapers are writing that BJP is unopposed winner. My question to the panel is that in such case, will there be voting? Do the voters not have option to vote for Nota? If there's option to vote for Nota, then how the newspapers can declare him winner?
True.
Additionally, if anyone from your team is visiting Ahmedabad or Gandhinagar for election coverage, I have a spare bike. So Basant was there, but he's coming back today. Sorry.
And he has done a good story from Gandhinagar, which you will soon read.
Manan also recommends Mamla Legal Hai on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm hearing good things about this show. Have you watched it?
No.
Your Honor? No? Okay. So, so thanks, Manan. On the Nota bit, I'm just... Trivia, you probably already know that stand-up comic who does impeccable mimicry of Mr. Modi,
Sham
Rangila, is contesting from Banaras, and the reason he's given is not because he thinks I can win. He says because what happened in Gujarat in 2 places now. Even in Indore, the same thing happened, right? The guy withdrew.
Indore, the person just shifted to the BJP.
So he says, so that shouldn't happen. So if everybody abandons the field, at least Sham Rangila, people should come out and they should have a choice. Even if they don't want to vote for me, they should have a choice.
So one thing is that Nota never really wins, because even if the majority votes are for Nota. But secondly, I don't think it's a question for Nota, but it's a question for Election Commission. If so many reports have come out, clearly something's amiss. There should have been a fact-finding committee being sent here and Indore to at least give a note or some facts about how the electoral atmosphere was vitiated or there wasn't level playing field. At least in terms of putting a statement out there, they should have done that.
In Gandhinagar, independent candidates, they are complaining that they have been forced to withdraw because Amit Shah, who is contesting from there, he want people in his honor, they want to make a record that he wins by 10 lakh votes.
So therefore, they don't want to divide it.
So that story is something which our guy Basant has done. He has spoken to these independent candidates. They have come, 3 or 4 of them have come on record. So that report is also soon going to come out.
Especially if you filed a nomination from one party. After that, if you're moving to your rival party, I think it's huge
so the
cost
thing
for
is that if basically aapki fitrat is of a bully, you want to win by bullying. You know, I don't know if you've seen that very nice video. This woman goes to this supermarket to return cheese. So she returns it and this lady says, okay, thank you, we'll reimburse you, we'll replace it. She says, huh? She gets very upset. She says, oh, you want to fight? She says, yeah, I want to fight. Okay, we didn't buy that. Yo, she fight. So thank you so much. That felt a lot better. So I think if you're generally a bully, you don't want to just win, even if you're winning. You want to bully and win.
Indu says, could you please add timestamps to YouTube Hafta episodes? YouTube shorts and timestamps make it easier to introduce non-subscribers to NL. And 1.5 hour videos too long to get people to listen. Says, thanks for all the good work. Stay hydrated.
Yeah, we should do that. We do it in Awful and Awesome. Let's put timestamps on this also, what we were discussing when.
So people can just skip if they want.
Yeah.
Abhijit Anand says, hello Hafta team. I'm assuming the PM's hate-mongering speech on Muslims in Congress would make to the discussion this week. It did. And we said so much on it. So as disturbing as it was, I also found it very intriguing. It's not really his style. It's a bit too direct. It almost feels like desperate last-minute move. But this is a party sure of a renewed mandate, as Anand said last time, isn't it? What's missing? Do they send some unease? So I think we've already spoken about
it.
I said that its manifesto reflects that it's a party reassured of a renewed mandate.
Right.
So I hope you got your answers, Abhijit. We had a long discussion on this. Rana Ayub, I don't know if it's the journalist Rana Ayub.
Journalist Rana Ayub. Rana, if it's you, just text me so we can clarify which Rana Ayub it is.
I find it perplexing how some liberals shifted their stance on Modi after 2 terms of his government, criticizing it as divisive and Islamophobic. They knowingly cast their votes for the BJP in 2014, fully aware that Narendra Modi would become Prime Minister if BJP won. Puzzling aspect is why they supported someone accused of genocide. Modi's Islamophobia was evident from the beginning, exemplified by the Gujarat model. The fact that the BJP remained dominant in elections post-2002 can be attributed to the anti-Muslim sentiments fostered among Gujaratis by the BJP. Abhinandan's earlier statement that he would have voted for Modi in 2014 due to UPA's failure is indeed problematic. I don't think you said you would have voted. So you understand
I think
people.
I said, no. 2 things. I did say that if a gun was put to my head, that the only 2 options you had, because I of course voted up. But either you vote for a 3rd term to UPA or you give this guy first term. I did say that I would give this guy first term because I don't think it's a good idea to give anyone a 3rd term. Like what communists did in Bengal for 33 years. I just don't think it's a good idea. So actually, we've discussed this threadbare on several haftas, Rana. Not everybody has the same motivation or information when they cast their votes. We assume because we consume news day in and day out, we are news ka kidas. Like I said, there's so many people who voted for him even in 2019 who are not communal and are not even aware of, like I said, they don't know who's Samit Patra, they don't know who's who, they just know, haan, theek hai, acha ho raha hai to. So I think it's, I don't think it's a good idea. And just to be clear, what I said was I wouldn't have voted for him generally. If I were given a choice of giving him one term and giving someone else a third term, and at that time, even I did not think he'd go this far. And I said that often, that, I don't think that he had that pan-India appeal. He may be the share of Gujarat, but India would never accept him with that kind of dominance. They did, so I was wrong. But even today, if you were to say that remove all other people off, move up, move everybody, and should it go back to the Congress, in spite of the fact that I myself personally have gherawed Mr. Manmohan Singh's house, I would say yes, it should go back to them. Because you cannot give someone like this a third term, this kind of a political environment where people like Prasanna, whatever his name is, Prajwal, the people we have in politics are not of the quality where you can give them this kind of power. They are,
RS says, in another election show, it was amusing to see Manisha struggle so much with the idea that some people actually like Rahul Gandhi, considering how dismissive she's been of Rahul Gandhi and Bharat Jodo Yatra before it had even begun. It's indeed good for her and the NL team to step out of their vicious North Indian bubble. As an NL subscriber, it's not important for me that the core team likes opposition leaders, but their disdain for RG suggests a lack of everyday contact with people who think differently, and the idea that there are other ways of doing politics. My overall sense is that a singular vision for how politics should unfold clouds NL's election coverage, including the depiction of India alliance as a failure. For example, when Manisha repeatedly suggests that the UDF-LDF squabble gives Modi further ammunition, I wanted to scream, it's not Kerala's responsibility to dumb down its politics for the sake of North Indians. Well, RS. I'm really going to come in defense of my North Indian brothers and sisters. But first, I wasn't amused that he's liked. But what I said was that it was quite interesting to see that when people spoke about Rahul, they also spoke about Indira and Rajiv in the same breath. So that adulation for Gandhi family, the pride that, our constituency is going to send another Gandhi who may possibly become the Prime Minister, that's not a sentiment that I encounter a lot in the North. So I was only journalists, speak about the 90s or the 70s when people would say, "Aap kisko vote kar rahe hain?" Or 90s, like Maya Sharma we met of NDTV. She said, 90s ke election mein people would say Indira Gandhi. That's not something that I have witnessed in my, while election. No one brings up Rajiv or Indira. So it was very nice, and not nice, but it was interesting to see that the Gandhi family still held so much importance for the voters then. I think because Kerala being so far, the route to Delhi or or their trust in Congress and the Gandhis come from the fact that they trust them to represent Kerala in centre. So I think Congress is that bridge which remains. And I don't think, North Indian politics being dumb is just a wild generalization. Even if your metric for defining dumb is the number of people who vote against BJP, then North India beats southern states when it comes to anti-BJP voters. Statistically, more people in the North are voting against the BJP. But of course, there are various permutation combinations due to which they don't land up in power. And this is a state which, again, there's a very good piece which will also be my recommendation by Roshan Kishore on Indian liberals are having their Hillary Clinton moment, where he debunks this North-South thing where, he points that UP has given you, the first Dalit full-term chief minister, not Tamil Nadu or Kerala. So this is very easy generalization. Only in the last 7 years have we seen Yogi, or only in the last 10 years have we seen a rise of BJP. This is Bihar, UP. These states have, have strong
social movements have been there as well.
And different kind of politics. And why BJP is in power is a different analysis. But I don't think just calling it dumb is, it helps anyone. And I love to say this to my South Indian friends that you'll have to get off your high horse very soon because the BJP is only going to rise in the South. There's already chatter of, whether they cross the double-digit mark or not, a percentage in Tamil Nadu. I don't know if that is true. But even if from 3%, They are hovering around 10%. It's a party on the rise. So, you'll have to at some point leave this analysis that BJP, whatever, the only resistance to BJP is in South. I feel the only resistance will come from the North after a while because BJP will only rise in the South. That's where they can gain.
Right.
Sharad says, like my last letter about non-basmati rice, another opportunity is missed by the opposition. Rahul Gandhi or Mamta or any opposition should just say that even if we do inheritance tax, it will be above net worth of 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 crores. We want to tax mainly Ambani and Adani and Modi is trying to save them. Why are these points not thought out by the opposition at all? Any insight on how they think and work? Kudos to the entire Another Election show. As part of Another Election show, before Andhra and Telangana election, can there be a debate between Prakala Prabhakar, husband of Finance Minister, and Jaya Prakash, Lok Satta? Both are intellectuals and talk with data. Prabhakar is openly opposing BJP and JP is supporting TDP, PRP, BJP alliance. Also in the questions asked about state and central elections separately for Andhra. Can the questions be separate? It will be much watched interview from Telugu states. Hope that NL team does it before some other news team. So we have Pooja and Dhanya. Atul and I are not going there because we already have a very solid team from News Minute there. So I'll definitely forward your
pass this on to them.
Suggestion on to Pooja and Dhanya. Nachiket. Hi team, love your work and long time supporter. Trying to get this email under 200 words, so jumping to the material straight away. Also, he's decided not to put space so that we read this as one word.
As one word. So basically, he's
very
put
smart.
25 words as one word.
It can be tough to get guests from certain backgrounds or political affiliations, as Abhinandan mentioned, but a balanced panel with varied viewpoints is important. Sometimes everyone on the panel seems to agree, which can limit the discussion's depth. Try to include guests with different perspectives, even if they don't align with the majority view. In the recent Kachativu discussion, Abhinandan was justifying his viewpoint despite the guest leaning towards the right. While a lively discussion is good, it's okay to end with a perspective that doesn't align with the usual stance. Your audience can draw its own conclusion without additional justification. As Claire Keegan once said, many's the man lost much just because he missed a perfect opportunity to say nothing. Sometimes letting a point stand on its own without a rebuttal can lead to a more enriching discussion.
Point taken, Nachiket. Nicely written.
Who is Claire Keegan, may I ask? I'm
Anand?
too dumb to ask. I have no idea who Claire Keegan is. Our subscribers are so smart, they're throwing names like... Okay. Vinu Parthiban. This is a general expression of despair at the current state of the country. As a background, I've been living overseas for the past 35 years. This is over half my life. I don't think I'll ever return to India to live there permanently. So by all manner of speaking, I shouldn't care about how India is faring. But since I lived my youth there, and as I still have old friends, extended family there, I worry about the cult of Modi and the social divisions the future generations will inherit. The poison of social division and hate-mongering are everywhere. Minority hatred is expressed without care. People are fooled by slogans and the opium of religion so that they don't notice the economic social decline, rising prices, unemployment, erosion of fourth pillar of democracy and apparent march towards dictatorship. I want to know how you and others with similar mindset and despair deal with the citation. How do you guys carry on? Well, because it's just because when you're living here, it doesn't seem as bad as maybe from far away.
Yeah,
no, because there's so much.
How far is far away? Where is
I mean, she's been living abroad for 35 years.
So, I mean, I think while of course there is an erosion of democratic institutions and institutions in general, I think there is a bit of hyperbole. Oh my God, we are becoming Russia or Myanmar or China. We are not there because for a variety of reasons. So, not that I don't think Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah would love that. But yeah, that is one reason that the despair isn't so much. Secondly, I mean, there is enough democracy and, conversation still around to not feel like a despair. And Claire Keegan is an Irish short story writer. Checked it out. So yeah, it's not to say that everything is wonderful and our democracy is in great health, but it's not as bad as you think, Vinu.
And there's quite a lot of dissent and I mean, there are voices who are... Godwin says, hi, all. I have 2 questions, but let me start by saying that Aayega to Modi hi. After 2 phases of voting, how different is the feeling on the ground compared to 2019 when we hoped for a progressive result, but BJP ended winning more seat? When the BJP does come to power, but with less seat, do you see them being even more aggressive with their agenda? More raids, full-on power grabs, as they might feel a need to lash out to secure power. Full-on night of long knives.
Well, I haven't been on the ground, so I will not speculate on which way the wind is blowing, I never do.
Yeah, and even those of us who go on the ground don't like to get into speculation, but from every report that we are getting, there's no massive anti-incumbency kind of that we're hearing of, are we?
Even when lesser number of people are voting.
But surely, like when reporters are saying that there's no Modi wave and all, I think they're also comparing it to 2014 and 2019, which were very, euphoric for the BJP. Of course,
there's also sameness to it.
Sameness,
people get bored also. The same all.
The second point
and 2019 had Balakot.
No. The second point is that will they double down on their agenda? On that, I will speculate, and I think it's not just lottery type speculation. I think a compelling case can be made that yes, that they'll double down on. I don't have a doubt in my mind that Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah specifically are Democrats by temperament. I think they think that the best thing to do is just to bulldoze through everything, and citizens' rights is not a thing that I think they understand or value, and I think that's true for Indian politicians across the board, but especially for these two men.
I feel the crackdown on digital media may be quite strong because
there'll be a crackdown for
I'm
sure.
not talking
I
about
don't
just
think
news
they
organizations.
won't ease up on that. They don't know any other way.
Also, because in this election, one of the interesting things is that digital narrative does seem to shift a little away. Like from 2014, when BJP was all over social media, they were the kings. You see them quite on the back foot in this election. Just this Instagram reel that they put up, which was very odious, they've taken it down. If you look at the comments under it, they were just trashing BJP for putting up a video like that. So, and for a party that's gotten so used to a mainstream media, which is just praising them day in and day out, I think this is irking them. And I think you'll see stricter regulation around digital news, what happens on YouTube and stuff like that.
Also, I think, for example, Mr. Manmohan Singh, there was Dr. Manmohan Singh, there were wonderful things about him, etc. But I do think it was problematic, his belief that the cure to everything was market, foreign capital, privatization. There was this ideological position. I don't think it was possible to convince Mr. Manmohan Singh that, no, this is not the answer. To my understanding, his answer to most things was market, privatization, foreign capital, USA. Similarly, I don't think Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah understand democratic values. I think their understanding of governance is only ki sala danda maar ke sabko seedha kar do. And I mean, who talks the way Modi does? Maine 80 crore khana khilaya and all that. Dude, like one Congress guy said, kya aap apne mama ke yahan se paisa leke aaye the? Sarkari paisa hai na. Matlab, the way he talks as if he's earned all this money and he's feeding. I mean, dude, you got to be in a different level of delusion to think that this is all my money. He probably does. He probably thinks that he owns this country and whatever he's throwing.
And on the top of it, he calls himself Pradhan Sevak.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there are too many telltale and giveaway signs of the mindset of Mr. Modi and Shah. So anyone who thinks that they will take it easy and endorse democratic values, I think that's an easily winnable debate.
Talking about a different thing, even with the low turnout. So I am just summarizing few points about the turnout and how they have played out with ultimate outcome. And so this is not very conclusive. First thing, rather not conclusive. But we take the elections of 21st century, last 3-4 elections. Earlier, the conventional wisdom was that high turnout means a wave or an anti-incumbency. But in their book, Pranav Rai and Dorav Chopadiwala, in 2019 verdict, they have studied last 3 elections and they took 2 precautions. First, they took only those states where BJP and Congress are in direct contest, and also only rural seats or semi-urban seats to negate the advantage that BJP is considered to have in urban localities. So they said that with lower turnout, BJP has better results, and they pinned it down to the stronger cadre of BJP, and Congress more depends on spontaneous voters, self-motivated voters. So with a weaker organization, it is not doing well in low turnout elections. That was their conclusion. So the only exception that we can see was after the book came out, that is 2019 elections itself. And that later analysts say, when I read the analysis of 2019 Lok Sabha elections, they said that low turnout in many constituencies helped BJP, but it was supplemented by the fact that there was a lot of spontaneous voting also in its favor, self-motivated because of Balakot narrative and other things. So both combined to give it a record number of seats. So means what I'm saying is that many conclusive derivatives cannot be drawn from turnout figures. It has, the conventional wisdom has been appended now. Means it's a new normal, you can say.
And what do you think of the 2019-14 wave for Modi versus now?
No,
like this whole thing of boring election, or that there is not so much interest in Modi. I'm also wondering if we are comparing, we're calling it boring is because we're comparing it digitally. Like digitally, everything has become so noisy that maybe on ground we feel, oh, it's so dull. But it's the same maybe. Your take on that?
Means also, yes, maybe. Also the fatigue factor is there because of similar thing. But you can argue against it that always the elections have happened with this gap only 5 years.
So, but I do think that it is less lively now. Whether it is because this whole activism has become online, everything has become online. But yes, but I also think it's a fear factor. The dhadalle se that other opposition parties used to go around, doing campaigns or holding rallies. Now people are scared to do that because people are afraid to attend rallies, people are afraid to do rallies, permissions are not given. It's just become too much of a pachda. Like so many people are afraid to express their opinion. Yeah, like someone who works in my colony, she was saying that these news people had come and they were conducting those those little chats in our colony. And I said that what has Modi given us, and I did this and I did that. And my husband later took me inside her, what that colony, it's those bastis, and scolded me that you shouldn't say anything, to sit inside, don't go out and talk to these cameras. The fear factor of just expressing your opinion, which is also a function of Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah, that has made the campaign and this election less noisy. People are just afraid to speak.
I think just to add to this fear factor, I don't think it's just BJP. I also feel like there's a lot of fear of virality among people. We've gotten 2 calls from young students who are praising the BJP to take down their picture or whatever, because you're scared of being a meme. I think a lot of people are also worried about giving interviews and doing these vox pops because virality just, with that BJP guy who was jailed, who, from Rajasthan, Usman Ghani, who was a BJP worker. I mean, he just becomes viral and then within a day he's expelled and the next day he's arrested. So I think not speaking is also a function of virality, the fear of virality. I think that's really strong among people. Like the Galgotias,
Yeah, so much Galgotia University.
So much, they've been memeified so much that they're probably, really like...
Parents are wondering that, I wonder if there will be an impact in this year's enrollment to Galgotia University.
Okay, highly appreciate the work you guys are doing. This is from RB. While I have subscribed for the first time, I think there are many other really good channels who are doing good work. There, even if a user intends to support all, it becomes untenable to do that if subscription fee is too high. A lower subscription will help you get long-term subscriptions from any individual and you will end up reaching more people too. Plus, the audience will have more chances of hearing other channels like yours and support them.
Okay, point noted, RB.
Jugraj Singh says, it's not new that Modi lies about what RG says by giving it a spin. Panelists passively blame RG for giving these opportunities to Narendra Modi to spin them and how RG did not explain it well and said it in a way that it was easy for BJP to spin a lie out of it. This form of discussion is extremely frustrating to hear. Draw an analogy with victim-blaming culture here. Modi is a liar and mere calling out his evil intent should be enough. Modi can spin a lie out of anything and does not need an RG to pull lies out of thin air. Modi is a pathetic orator, patronizes his audience by making catchy and controversial statements. If the panelists believe that RG did not explain his intent well, the only thing that can be beneficial is to fill in the blanks and clarify how Modi spun it.
I agree with you, Jagraj. I think this whole that, Rahul or the opposition is not... In fact, Manisha and I have had a debate about this here. I think it's just... I don't think it's really analysis that is... If you give this kind of media control to anyone, And like I was telling this one journalist who is with NDTV, by the way, and who I've known from a long time, who's been with NDTV for 20-25 years, was again saying the same thing, at a dinner. So I said, I heard it for a while. I said, dude, you give me the control of your channel and all the channels. I will convince this country that it is very healthy to eat garbage from the street. So I completely reject. I completely agree with you. I think this whole thing of there is enough material on Modi to make him a bigger meme than RG is. It's just that the media, if you do, your channel is taken down online, this thing. It is so, yeah, I don't think the difference is that big. Of course, I don't agree with you that Modi is not a good orator. I think he's a fantastic orator. But I don't think he's some, he's not like a Shakespeare while Rahul Gandhi is a Mastram Masti mein, Aag Lage Basti mein. I think it's marginal, the difference.
Oratory, he's a good summarizer. What I think about his oratory means if you give him 30 minutes and he has to cover 100 points, he will cover. Means that is one thing about political oratory, the synoptic view of things. That is with him. I don't like his oratory, but his synoptic sense is spot on.
I think the best orator politically, full disclosure, my past association with him, is Arvind. I have seen Arvind convince a basti from this to that. He's an amazing, he can really break down things and explain them in a way. And which was his whole thing, within 10 years to go from nothing to the Chief Minister of Delhi is not a joke. And it happened by addressing, and I was with him in many of the rallies. Whether it was a gathering of 10 people or 200 people or 2,000 people, he would go and speak and speak and speak, and he convinced the whole of Delhi like that. If you go by that and you give someone like Arvind control of the media, he'll convince his country that never to let virus. So it's complete also, media game in my view.
One thing also, the media control thing, maybe we focus more on the conventional media. That's why but I think public sphere is very different now with the digital thing and so many mobile phones in hands of millions of people. So media control is just one variant.
No, but the digital space has also been taken away by
it's not that Mr. Modi is not mimified. He is. There are a lot of memes. There are a lot of things there.
A lot.
So, a lot of things are there. So that is also one.
No, absolutely it's there. But I think it's a thing like, Singapore is also corrupt. But that doesn't mean.
No, but I think it's an interesting exploration.
In fact, I'll tell you, forget everything else. How many people do you know who have said, I feel scared of criticizing Arvind online? Just
none.
Criticizing?
Yeah, Arvind or Rahul online. How many people do you know who say, I feel afraid of saying anything about Modi? I know at least 50. From my doctor to people here. यार तुम कैसे बोल देते हो Twitter में? तुम्हें डर नहीं लगता? It is, of course, there are memes about him. But to even post that, let alone that, I don't want to take names, but colleagues who worked with us are, have often said, can we, delete this tweet? I don't want to say this, I want to, who worked with us in the past. You give that kind of control to someone, it is a no contest. I don't think.
It may not be like India is such a big country. So the scale of critique is also so on a, say, quantum that if you are against it, you have enough material. Also, just on a lighter note, I think getting to television channels is very difficult now. You have this DTH remote, then you go to news,
then you go to this.
Then this इतना मतलब परेशान करके हटाओ कौन देखेगा?
हालांकि so I will say that habitual watchers of news know which one to go to. If you're Tata Sky 601 NDTV 604
पर वो बहुत कम होते हैं habitual watchers.
631 CNN, 633 BBC, 463.
Okay, stop boasting.
English
what a
Premier League,
lover of news you are.
470 Champions League. That's it. These are the channels I know.
Like earlier in simpler times, if we knew that okay, यहाँ से news. I purchased a television not long ago. So I tried to watch TV news. It was so much hard work to get to a channel.
Chodo.
Jo jaldi
You're
aa
right.
raha
I mean,
hai.
the viewership has come down dramatically.
Okay, Aranya Bhattacharya says, Dear team, heartfelt thanks on your unbiased reporting and efforts. I've noticed hearing many of the podcasts and reports from outside Bengal. Even the unbiased media outlets tend to think Mamata Banerjee is one of the biggest names against Modi. But how she visits Delhi almost every time Abhishek is summoned by ED or CBI seems to suggest very clearly that she's some sort of understanding with Modi and BJP. One of the reasons why she's still out of jail, unlike the genuine opposition like Kejriwal or Soren, this is one of the reasons, she says. I think more on this should be explored. While she claims to be part of India Alliance, her allegiance has always remained very much in question. Not to mention the nice exchange program between TMC and BJP in Bengal multiple times for a single politician. I think for getting a sense of what is happening inside Bengal, someone from a different party should be interviewed when you do the election episodes in Bengal. So we have Atul landing there tomorrow. He can.
Yeah, but though I do think, Aranya, this is it's slightly conspiracy theorish. I don't think there'll be an arrangement. Maybe Mamta's careful because she doesn't want to jail. But just like I think the young Akhilesh Yadav doesn't cross a certain line in criticism because he doesn't want to go to jail. But that doesn't mean there's an arrangement.
Also, optics of putting a woman leader who fought the left to jail is different.
And more importantly, Aranya, I'll do that under suggestions. It's not unbiased. There's a bias everywhere. There's a bias here. There's bias in our reporting. It is journalistic. It is factual, and it is above certain journalistic standards. But unbiased is too big a term to use for any reporting, including ours.
And the Congress unit of West Bengal has not gelled well with PM.
That's also the correct. Unka jhagda itna zyada hai.
Adhiranjan, what is his name?
Adhiranjan
yesterday said that if you have to vote for
the BJP, not the TMC. Yeah, exactly.
If you are going to vote for TMC, don't vote
for BJP. Correct.
I mean, the same way the left says ki the whole fight between left and Congress, there was Congress's B team. So these are the contradictions of an alliance also whose singular glue is basically anti-Modi. Naveen CR, hi, hope you will read my letter on Hafta. I've been following NL for past 5 years and I'm a huge fan of your reporting. I see the Newslaundry growing and doing ground reports and appreciate much of your coverage. Congratulations on Ram Nath Goenka. I'm a student when I started listening to NL and your constant supporter. Emphasis on if your student don't buy, it's okay. Made me buy the annual membership immediately after I got a job. Yay!
So, Naveen. See, Naveen is the example of the
Adarsh
Balak, model citizen.
You should make our own Adarsh Balak.
As soon as he got a job, he subscribed to Newslaundry. So, remember, students, we give free subscriptions to students. But when you get a job, do pay for it. It's a lot less than you'll pay for your weekend entertainment.
Norman Khan says, Dear Newslaundry team, I hope this letter finds you in the midst of a spirited debate over yet another perplexing news item. This week's highlight, the uproar over 4 students who, in a bold display of religiosity or perhaps just sheer desperation, wrote Jai Shri Ram on their exam paper and were rewarded with a pass mark and 50% marks. With a pass and a 50% mark. Now, let's not get bogged down by the nitty-gritty of academic integrity or the subtle nuances of separation of religion and education. Instead, let's marvel at the creative genius of these young scholars. In a world where plagiarism, cheating scandals dominate the academic landscape, these students dared to dream differently. They didn't resort to the worn-out tactic of crib sheets or clandestine whispers. No, they boldly proclaimed their devotion to a divine power in hopes of a divine intervention in their grades. Like those Atiq Ahmed's killers. Right after shooting, they screamed, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, safe. But alas, dear Newslaundry, it seems our educational institutions are not ready to embrace such unorthodox approaches to exam taking. Instead of celebrating the ingenuity of these students, they've been met with skepticism and controversy. Shouldn't we as society applaud such innovation? Shouldn't we reward those who think outside the box, even if that box happens to be an exam paper? Let's propose a toast to these 4 trailblazers. May their Jai Shri Ram battle cry echo through the hallowed halls of academia. Now he's just being sarcastic. We get
He's been sarcastic throughout the letter, not just.
But it just goes.
But to come to Norman Khan, we have 3 letters left, which we'll read next week because we don't want to cross too much time. But I will say this, Norman, it is not. What is new is that they got 50%. I remember when I was in school, a friend of mine who was so bad at maths And which is why I think maths should be optional from class 8 or 9. It can really hit your self-confidence. And he was really smart at other things. He just didn't understand math. He didn't even attempt the paper. He just wrote the whole Jai Hanuman Gyan Gun Sagar Jai Kapis Tu Hiro Ko Jai Ramdut. Yeah, he wrote the whole Hanuman.
And?
Because he got 0. The difference is, he got 0 then. So, people have been doing this for the longest time. No man, you may not know it, because maybe you have very bright friends. I had a lot of duffers as friends. Many used to start off with Om, thinking that'll pass them. This friend of mine in math, he wrote the full Hanuman Chalisa. But they did not pass. The difference today is, students are still doing the same things that they did. This time they write Jai Shri Ram instead of, because I think it's also harder to rattle the whole Hanuman Chalisa.
And then pen it down.
Words. So,
no, see, if examination paper, examiners have a lot of, say, colorful stories to tell. People write filmy songs, and some people also stick currency notes. And that yes, they do so. In board examinations, many do.
Or what you did when you put a chakku and took the exam.
With a note that sometimes Grace...
She completely ignored that and told the examiner, Anand Vardhan ke paas aur fail ka fasla is chaku ki dhar se zyada nahi hai, Professor Saab. You didn't say like that. I heard.
No, but when I was taking my class 12th examination, not in my room, but in the adjacent room.
This happened?
No. So when the time was getting over, the examiner snatched away the answer script. So that student had a revolver with him.
Oh dear.
So, yeah, and because of that, a lot of commotion was there. So we thought that even our exam would be cancelled.
But it wasn't. It was. So thank you, dear panelists. Let's get the recommendations out of the way. We have 2 emails left, Vivek Ashokan and Kumar Aditya's. We will come to it next week. Kumar, is yours 251 words. The limit is 200. But anyway, that's fine. So let's start with you, Manisha, your recommendation for the week.
So, the first piece that I recommended earlier by Roshan Kishore in Hindustan Times on the North-South divide. I think it's very interesting. Read that. A very good profile in New York Times by Samant Subramanian. Time is running out for Rahul Gandhi's vision of India. I think it's very astutely observed. He's basically followed Gandhi through UP and penned down his observations, and he's also spoken to people. So I think it's a very good profile done and it's succinct. The Economist's piece on Mann Ki Baat, I thought was also really good. How Modi's positioning himself on Mann Ki Baat. So these 3 are my recommendations.
Anand?
Okay, so today we talked about politics and elections. So my recommendation is about more serious things in life. That is death.
Surprise.
So Venki Ramakrishnan, who won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2009, he has written a book, Why We Die. So he has generally addressed these techno fantasies of immortality and living forever. And with the current science that is available, and with his overlapping interest in chemistry and biology, life sciences, he won the Nobel in Chemistry in 2009. So he has said that this is ill-founded, that there would be immortality and death. So from scientific point of view, he has challenged it, and also challenged, not explored it, and thought that it is not a valid idea. Also from the social point of view. And this is not part of his book. I am still in the initial part. But I think that if immortality would be there, so even if it is say 500, 600, though he says it would not be possible because of number of scientific reasons. So, but what would shield you against accidents and murders?
Yeah, sure, exactly.
Accidents and murders, and then murder would be a big thing. Means, I think people would be then more killing people from their families. Like now, everyone would be alive. So
right.
How you
There's
see?
no division.
So if you are living 700 years, 800 years, you would be tempted to kill more people.
Right.
So anyway, that was my thought. That was not part of his books. My second, his book,
which makes me a little worried, Anand. But anyway, we shall hope it is just a fleeting fantasy.
Yeah. So
Tempted to murder, he says.
Yes, means if you imagine the scenario, nobody is dying, then murder would be really a big thing. Second is last week psychoanalyst Sudhir Kakkar passed away. He was generally regarded as India's last century's one of the most original thinkers, and he did a lot of groundbreaking work in India's psychology, psyche, exploring India's psyche. So two of his books, one is Inner World and second is Intimate Relations. Also in the Sunday magazine of last week's The Hindu, David, the leading publisher who now heads LF Book, has written a tribute. That is also, it's called some... Anyway, it's a kind of his personal obituary of Mr. Kakkar. So that is also a good read.
Thank you. Raman sir?
Indian Council of Agricultural Research had come out with a book listing out 75,000 farmers who had a huge success story. Their salary had doubled, in 5 years' time or so. So, and which has been played up, in the in 2024 elections. So, we had done one video story which I had recommended in the past, but we have gone beyond it now, and we have gone to other states, and on a very random basis, we have picked up, the farmers from the list, and we have gone to their houses. So the first text story behind the paywall is going to hit this week, which is from Maharashtra. So we are going to get we are working on Bihar as well, and Karnataka too. So this is a very important story. Because we have seen things in black and white. The list is given by the government. The claims are of the government, and we have just spoken to those.
Audit. We've done an audit, on-ground audit.
So that is one story. And second is, I think just food for thought. Since we have spoken about gems of, the Prime Minister, the kind of statements he has made, and one popular statement that he made, that jinke bacche hote hain, without referring that, of course he was obliquely referring to Muslims. So Kharge has come out, with his count that he has got 5 children, and he is a Hindu. So why don't our readers also look at the politicians' children, especially the ones who are contesting on BJP ticket,
right?
And I think it will be a very interesting thing to see. So the politicians' children, just a food for thought.
Right. Actually, speaking of this whole children thing, if the media was not as compromised, Modi's statement of "jinke zyada bacche hain," they'd be running primetime debates ki Modi kitne bhai behan hai. वो कौन सा only child है? He also has 6-7 brothers and sisters.
He's the third of 6 siblings.
Yeah, so I mean, so my recommendations are 2. One is, why I love this podcast, Radio Open Source with Christopher Lydon, is because many of the people they speak about, I've never heard of them. The first time I hear of them is when I hear this podcast. But there is something so enriching about hearing 2 smart people discussing another smart person. You immediately feel your IQ rising. So this one is Christopher Lydon's conversation with a professor called Lindsay Stonebridge, and they're talking about Hannah Arendt. I don't know who that was.
Hannah Arendt.
You don't know?
No.
Who was it? Banality of Evil.
Yeah, correct. You've used that, so I realized that that's her. So I have not read anything about her, but it was fantastic. And I also want to reiterate a similar podcast of Christopher Lydon when they talk about Thomas Mann. Sorry, not Mann. He's not from Punjab. So he's brother of Gurdas Mann, Thomas Mann from Germany.
Like with
Milan Kundera.
I was just coming to Milan Kundera. Milan Kundera.
So these are the 2 I want to recommend. And the third thing I want to recommend is I'm going to be reviewing it on the Awful and Awesome this week. I've watched half of the first episode of Hira Mandi.
It's terrible.
And I really
just
want
didn't watch it.
I want to push myself. I want to push myself to see how long I can watch it for.
It is so
They
bad.
have fucking made 8 episodes.
My God.
Never has so much money been spent on such shit. It is, I highly recommend you try to watch it and write into us and tell me how many episodes you could get by. Sir, even the first episode, I had to watch
I couldn't watch the first episode. Just 5 minutes. I was
everyone talks. No one is normal. Everyone's overacting. No one. Aap kya kar rahi hai, Maharani? Who talks like this? यार पागल और लेकिन हर डिटेल मेहंदी ऐसी सब ऐसे everyone's
यार कितना पैसा खर्चा होगा इसमें यार.
I've always maintained Sanjay Leela Bhansali is such a crap filmmaker. He is a good ad filmmaker. He should tell his stories. He's basically
Gangubai
a
wasn't
painter.
bad, yaar. It was good.
I haven't seen it, but I do. Right. He's just good at making phenomenal frames, which is a great skill for ad filmmaking. Oh my God! Like I was watching it and my jaw was dropping. I was like, seriously, in 2024. That's what we're writing and making. आप बड़े वो हो. अब यार ये 40s, 50s में चला गया था line. मतलब 2024 में आप बड़े वो हो कर रहे हो. So please watch this shit. Because just like when you listen to Christopher Lydon's conversations about smart people and your IQ goes up, when you watch this, you come back to normal.
Reminds me of my another recommendation I want to add is a phenomenal movie that I saw, Civil War, which I loved. It's a journo. No, it's not Marvel. It's a journo movie with a twist, and it's a dystopian future where America has broken into a civil war. And there are these war photographers covering America. It is phenomenal. I loved it. You should watch it in a theatre.
Okay.
It's really nice.
On that note, thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our producer, Aryan. Thank you to our sound recordist, Anil. And thank you to those subscribers who have subscribed. And thank you to those who will avail of the 1+1 offer for the Press Freedom Week. Please do support us. Let's get more and more reporters. Let's make this the model for journalism because all other models are going to collapse. Let's just hasten that process. Have a fantastic weekend.
Hasten the process of collapse or our model? I should end also on a down.
Of changing the model basically. So
have a good weekend.
Yep.
You can fund journalism that solely works for you. That is our motto at Newslaundry. You can pay to keep news free so that news becomes accountable to you just like it's supposed to be. Visit newslaundry.com and become a paying subscriber so that you can pay to keep news free and independent.